And so when we look at live science here, mysterious planet 9, and we're talking about planet 9, or if we're talking about Nibiru and Nemesis, really gets you thinking. And this article says it's probably 5 to 10 times the size of the Earth. And when you really look into it and you look at what they're saying here, it hits you. For one, okay, it really, and this is life science, right? It really does resonate a lot with a lot of what Sitchin had said, including the orbit as well. And I've always viewed Nibiru as likely being a gigantic mothership, if it does exist as an actual planet, quote unquote. But even so, it would definitely have mass, and then have some geomagnetic effects on whatever's around it. And it's pretty interesting when you look at this. And when you read this article, one of the things that really comes out and hits me is just how likely they think it's there. And that's been growing as we've been talking. And like this article basically says that there's like a 1 in 500 chance that it's not there. Not. So in other words, there is pretty much something out there that is big and could definitely affect everything around us, and perhaps does cyclically. And I keep jumping back and forth and going into the old Sumerian texts as well, and really they are so clear. They are so clear in what they say. And as this article says, it's probably 5 to 10 times the mass of the Earth. It probably travels along an elongated orbit that peaks at 400 times the Earth's distance from the Sun. That's pretty far. That orbit is also likely 15 to 25 degrees off the main orbital plane of the solar system that most planets orbit. This is all exactly the same sort of stuff that Sitchin came out with, talking about Nibiru. And so it's almost like now, here we are many years after the fact, and they're basically confirming everything that he came up with. And we have to be suspicious of everybody, And, Sitchin, I plan on doing more in-depth videos on the Sumerian legends and also on Sitchin himself, because as we look into these things, we discover that almost all the main people that come up with these ideas that lead us down a different way, they're always tied to the secret societies, so, how do we know they're giving us truth or leading us astray again? And as it says here, this new astronomical journal report calculated the probability of Planet 9 not existing as just 1 in 500. That's pretty much saying it's almost assured that it definitely exists. And so, and then all the things we've seen up in the sky, and so many photos of a second sun, or all the different things going on up there. It's pretty fascinating. And we look at what's happening here weather-wise, and the planet is definitely feeling the effects of something. March roars in like a lion, millions to endure coast-to-coast snow, and then a punishing blast of record cold coming in. Thankfully over here it's going to be 2 days where we're going to get down to about 30 or 32 for a high and be down in the teens overnight. And honestly, it's been, for the most part, it's been in the 60s here, or I'd say 58 to 65 has been typical, which has been not an issue to deal with. Let's hope that March goes out like a lamb, but I wouldn't be necessarily counting on it, at least as far as the intensity of the weather, perhaps the temperatures. But anyway, we're going to get some more snow coming in for so much of the country, and this year has been really punishing for the western side of the U.S. And also, of course, the northern tiers felt it as well. Overall temperatures 30 to 50 degrees below normal for early March, and this is up in the central tier, northern central tier. Tremendously cold temperatures we have seen in some of those areas, and yet not uniform. And over in Europe, we have Storm Freya. They love just naming all these storms, don't they? And Freya, of course, that's going back to the Norse, the Viking gods. And a potent storm is going to track through much of Western Europe, bringing wind-driven rain Sunday into the next week. Even more storminess could be on the way for the rest of the week. On the heels of that, of a storm that will bring heavy rain, strong winds to the UK on Saturday. Another storm is going to track farther south from late Sunday into Monday, spreading rain and wind into Wales, England, and much of Western Europe. Storm Freya will approach the British Isles early on Sunday, moving across Wales and central England during the day. As it does so, winds will increase not only across England and Wales, but also across much of France and northwestern Spain. And you can see these gusts up to 105 kilometers an hour in some areas. Obviously, tree damage, you're going to have some power outages and travel disruptions as well. And the winds have been something we've been talking about a lot. And also talking about just all these amazing sights in the sky. I mean, look at this rainbow clouds going on up there. There have been some amazing shots and interesting things we have seen. Now, another very intense and very rare, well, rare in the old world, but this is a different world we're in now. Sky phenomena that looks like northern lights electrifies the sky over Romania. So that's pretty far down for that type of effect to be seen, but everything is changing again. And so this is something that was seen in Romania, an intense fire rainbow. Pretty breathtaking, pretty beautiful. And so the rare is becoming common. And some things are becoming too common, including the flooding. And as we were talking about, a new storm heading for already saturated California. After seeing almost 2 feet of rain, California is bracing for another storm set to strike tonight. And the system will then head across the U.S., delivering heavy rain and snow, leaving in its wake an Arctic blast. And, we were talking about Edgar Cayce, and one of the things that he said, too, for California was that it was pretty much going to go into the sea, and all that was going to be left was just a trail of islands. And, from the flooding is what we're seeing almost happen right now, that some of these areas are becoming little kind of islands. As you see this flag of California half buried in the water. This water's got to be 4 to 5 feet high. It's pretty crazy what we're seeing here. And this is standing in front of the home of a person in the Russian River area of Forestville. And this is just tremendous flooding, up to 5 feet of water. And an unidentified man was swept away, trying to reach some kids. And we've had tons of people swept away. Just, the currents just take them away. 2 adults and a child tried to rescue the man, but their tractor stalled in the water. Deputies in a boat then rescued them and the 3 children from the home. And the missing man's body was found on Thursday morning. He was the father of a 12-year-old trapped in a home with 2 children under 4. She was not sure if all 3 children were related. Low-lying rural area about 215 miles north of San Francisco is home to many dairy farms, and it flooded when the Eel River went over its banks. So, again, compound that is we're going to have more crop losses and more issues as well on top of the loss of life. And we had touched on this before, and these dangerous cracks that are developing across Antarctica's Brunt ice shelf are due to unleash a massive iceberg twice the size of New York City, according to NASA researchers, who warn that when it breaks, it could destabilize the entire shelf. And so you see some more satellite images of it, and you see that huge rift that's only getting bigger, and it's been increasing as you see the chasms here. It's only a matter of time, and at some point it's going to give, as you see this ominous looking crack creeping its way. And again, if there's ice already on the water, it doesn't do anything. But if that ice is on the land and then it drops off into the water, then of course it could be a very, very hazardous situation along coastlines. And so this is more evidence that there was a lot of water in Mars, and actually a lot of water. And gosh, it makes you really think again, and I've been going through so much of the old Sumerian writings, and are they really telling us the truth? Do the old Sumerian texts really give us, some of the truth of what happened not only on Earth, but perhaps on Mars as well, when we talk about the Anunnaki and Nibiru? So Mars Express has revealed the first geological evidence of a system of ancient interconnected lakes that once lay deep beneath the red planet's surface, 5 of which may contain minerals crucial to life. Mars appears to be an arid world, but its surface shows compelling signs that large amounts of water once existed on the planet. We see features that would have needed water to form, branching flow channels and valleys, for example. And just last year, Mars Express detected a pool of liquid water beneath the planet's south pole. And a new study now reveals the extent of underground water on ancient Mars that was previously only predicted by models. And early Mars was a watery world. But as the planet's climate changed, this water retreated below the surface to form pools and groundwater. And so, there was a lot more water than they even realized under there. And there really still could be quite a bit of water deep inside. So the question is there life inside Mars right now as well? What is there? And of course, if you guys are familiar with the Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki were there, and they were on Mars, the Gigi or Igigi. And so, civilization was there, according to the Anunnaki texts that are given to us by the Sumerians.